Hi everybody, my name's John Lacey. This is Coffee and Content, the weekly live stream about content creation. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going out on all of the places. We're going out on LinkedIn Live. We're going out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, I believe. So if you are watching live, let me know where you're coming to me from today in the chat. Today we'll be talking all about creating a website. And creating a website for a content creator, making sure that you have your own little home on the internet and not relying too much on social media. So that's coming up today on the program. I hope you'll stick around and join me. This is, of course, Coffee and Content, so I kind of need to start the show by doing this. So this is Coffee and Content, the weekly live stream about content creation. My name's John Lacey. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just wanted to say thank you to, yesterday was my birthday, or today, depending on where in the world you are, the joy of time zones. And I just wanted to thank everybody that sent well wishes. It was really nice. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. So today we really wanted to talk about, where do you actually live online? And I know that a lot of us use social media quite extensively these days, and social media is a great opportunity. It's a great place to build awareness and to share your content, but it's also sort of rented land, so we need to be careful that we're not relying too heavily on it. Today I really want to talk about, some of the things that you might like to think about in terms of actually having your own website. And I want to show you specifically what I do for my personal website as well. So we'll do that a little bit later on today. Obviously, social media is a great opportunity, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to use it because I think it really is a great opportunity. But I think we need to be aware that, things can happen. Platforms can go away for a number of different reasons. You can personally lose your access. Accounts can get hacked. But also, I think one of the other sort of frustrating things is the unknown quantity of the various algorithms and who is actually seeing what and for how long, and can they find it again if they wanted to, those sorts of things. Whereas if you have your own website, you've usually got a domain you can refer people to. You can give them a permanent permalink to a specific piece of content. So that is really, really useful as well. So, and it's an opportunity to sort of, bring all your things together in a meaningful way and have a little bit more control over actually doing that. So, first of all, I think one of the most important things is that you actually register a domain name. So I've obviously got johnlacey.com as my website's domain name, and I've had that for many, many years, and there have been different versions of that website, but I've retained the ownership of that domain name. And in that way, I can just direct people straight to johnlacey.com. As long as they can spell my name, it's usually pretty straightforward. Make sure that it's Lacey. And that way I can direct them to things, and I can actually create different pages, different posts. I can embed videos. I can share information and, teach people about learning live streaming and, all the various things. And admittedly, I do have a web development and web design background, so I probably can do a little bit more than the average user. But I think just start with what you can. And I guess in the early days, it's probably not obvious what you will need technically. But I think, honestly, if you have that domain name, you can change your website later on. You can upgrade. You can move to different software if you need to. So even though I'm personally not a huge fan of the Wix and the Squarespace type options out there, if you are a beginner, it's probably a relatively easy place to start. So you can certainly look into that. But I think that the point is if you build something, you can use that as a landing page. What I often see a lot of people do is really, they have an online presence that is really cobbled together by a number of different services, and they have their Linktree and their Instagram and their YouTube, and those things are fine, but again, like, what do you actually own? What do you permanently have control over? That's really, really important to think about. All right, I'm going to take a sip of coffee before I talk about my next item. This is Coffee and Content, and I'm John Lacey. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're talking all about having your own website, having a permanent home on the internet, and especially with a lens for a content creator. So let's talk a little bit about what I've been doing. And I must admit, the thing about a website is it's never really done. It's always under construction. And if if this is not your full-time gig, there's a good chance that there will always be things that you are meaning to catch up with. And I am certainly guilty of this. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But this essentially is what johnlacey.com looks like at the moment. So you can head over to that site. I've traditionally had a bit of a plug for this show actually at the top of my website, but I do need to sort of come in and manually rework that a little bit. And I think also another thing I want to do is actually change this to show both of my live stream shows, the video and live streaming show with Sam Proof, and also the coffee and content show as well. So if I scroll down, you'll see a whole bunch of articles, and you can go and view more of them. That'll take you to its own live streaming landing page. There's a bit of a bio. Again, I probably need to update that, and we've got some testimonials and to different places. So I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I work with my website today. So this is actually built on WordPress, and I predominantly use the Divi theme, which is a page builder. And there are other theme builders. People in chat rooms and message boards will argue about which one is the best. I don't really have a strong opinion about that. I think stick with the one that you're working with, learn it really well, and work with that, because I think sometimes we can be really easily distracted by the shiny new thing when in reality we really need to learn one thing rather deeply. So if I close this down, essentially what I've done here is I've actually created a whole custom post type for live streaming articles. So if I go back to the version of the website, so there are some things here, and again, a lot of these things are under construction because that's just my life at the moment. But if I click through to one of those, you'll see that this article, and in this case, this is an earlier version of this show. And big shout out to Garen Belaney, who's joining us on LinkedIn. So, when it's time to go, grab your micro studio. So essentially, I've got these posts, and they're also set up in such a way that I've tagged them as well with different tags. So depending on the type of software, the series, so whether it's this show or the other show or maybe something else, there'll be little links to those things. And again, if I've set it up properly, which in this case I obviously haven't, it'll actually take you to a landing page that's specifically about that show, for example. So I know I've done that for the video and live streaming news. So let's, and the show, in fact, it was sort of called something different for a second there. And what do you know? Some things have changed on my website. I think I'm having some caching issues there. I might just clear everything here and we'll have a look. As much as I love live streaming, I got to tell you, this is always the place where things fall over. If you're doing a live demonstration, things just won't load the way you expect them to. I'm just going to clear the cache here. I'm sure it'll be fine. And even if it isn't, I think I've acknowledged the fact that this is very much a work in progress. So the nice thing about this is that because I'm using the Divi builder and the Divi theme, it actually comes with the theme builder. So essentially, and this will probably take a minute or two to load, I have these templates where I can actually build out different things for different pages, for different categories, for different tag pages. So for example, if we have a look at this one, so this was the video and live streaming news. Again, I know we've tweaked the name of that show a little bit, so I'm going to have to update that. But essentially, I can come in here And, I've literally got sort of a visual design here that I can come in and add whatever content I want to. And you'll see here, this is actually the dynamic posts that are being generated. So again, if we compare this with the live one, I haven't been quite as regular in terms of actually adding these to the website as I should be. So I'll have to go back in and add some of those. But essentially, that's where that stuff is being populated. So if I click through, I can go and I can watch the recording. In this case, it's hosted on YouTube, and I've got some of my show notes here. Again, it's one of those, show notes are a funny thing because I don't really want a verbatim script here, or transcript. I kind of want something that's easily scannable, that I use sort of headings and bullet points and relevant links, and actually include those in context. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And because these are built around posts for a particular category, or actually just posts for the live streaming category in general, I can sort of click through and look at some of the other ones. So for example, one week Sam and I spoke about 6 of our favorite OBS plugins, and you can sort of come through and learn more about those. Included some quotes there. So, I mean, the nice thing about this is I've kind of made them all, if we go to my live streaming articles, and this is actually what we call a custom post type in WordPress. So they're not pages, they're not articles or posts in the traditional WordPress sense. They're actually their own thing. So I can actually come in here and maybe I want to go in and add a new live streaming article. And, I can sort of, I know that the next show with Sam, we're talking about YouTube as a live streaming destination. So I can actually come in here and I can just write, this is what was known as Gutenberg, but is now just known as the block editor. I can literally just write my article up here and call it a day. But what I can do too is I've set up a number of different fields here. So thinking about using YouTube for live streaming, here are our recommendations. And these are actually custom post fields. So essentially I've set these things up. So in this case, does this have a video? It definitely will have a video. If I click on that one, it's asking for the video embed. If I hop over to YouTube, and keep in mind, this is actually a live session that hasn't happened yet. So we'll still link out to it. And the nice thing about this is once it goes live, people can watch it on the website. And that way they don't necessarily need to come to YouTube if they don't want to. So I'll go here and click that share button, and I want to grab the embed code. I do try to use this in enable privacy enhanced mode, just because I don't really want Google tracking you all across the internet if they don't need to. And I'll click the copy button here. Okay. So we'll go back. I'll paste that embed in there. There's actually an article content field there. I don't even use that one. I need to go in and take that out. But and I'll say that it includes software as well. So if we go to our live streaming article over here, I'm actually going to describe YouTube as software, which is probably a controversial take, but I can live with that. So we put in YouTube. I know that this is part of the video and live streaming news show, so I'm going to include that as the series. I actually do have a thumbnail for this one, so I'm going to upload that here. YouTube for live streaming. Just a bit of alternative text. Set that as my featured image. WordPress will actually, and without sort of, it's behind me, so I'll scroll down a little bit so you can actually see it. But WordPress will sort of, it'll override the alt text in that context to tell the website visitor that they're going to that particular article. So we don't really need to stress about that too much. And basically, I can sort of come in here and I can say, join us live as we talk about working with YouTube as a live streaming destination. We'll talk about, I don't really remember what we're going to talk about without looking at some other documentation, but I can find that and we can work with that in a second. So I might just go to LinkedIn because I know I've included that on the description of that week's show. So let me just find that one. All right, so I'm just going to paste some text in to here. Might even just paste it in as plain text. In fact, I'll get rid of some of the things I've already written here because I think this is actually better. So essentially, that's kind of what's happening, and like there are a number of different things I could do here in terms of updating this, and I will ultimately, like after the show is complete, I will come back in here and reflect on this a little bit more and include a little bit more detail, try to incorporate some of those heading styles, the bulleted lists, all that good stuff. But now if I have a look at this, which is now live, you'll see that it's taken that embed code and put it into a particular part of my page because that's how I've set up the template within the theme builder, and it's got a little bit more information. I mustn't have clicked the series button, so let me just double check that. So has series, there we go. I will do that and I will update that. And I guess sometimes, like especially with WordPress, there's a great temptation to sort of organize things based on their content type. So, you know, we have the videos over here and the podcasts over here and the image posts over here. And in some cases that's reasonable, but in other cases you really want to connect these things thematically. So, you know, what is the subject here, and you know, can we actually do that? So we've got the embed here. I'm sure if I click on this, it will tell me that it's live in 5 days and probably offer to take me to YouTube if I want to get a reminder for that, which is cool. We've got a little bit of intro here. So that's kind of what's coming up. So, but let's revisit the homepage for a second. So I'm just going back to the live version where I'm not logged in. We'll just go home. So we've got coffee and content. We've got the learn live streaming articles. We've got a little bit about me. What I really want to do is sort of replace this section with basically just a couple of links to the most recent shows that are either the most recent ones I've either done or the ones that are coming up, depending on how far along I am in the process. So what we'll do, let's actually go and find our template for this. And I'm going to close out of here. This was the one we're working on. So essentially, we've got all these different templates for different things. If I were to create a new one, actually not there, what I want to do is come down here and go add new template. And I can build from a new, from something from the library, or I can build something new. And it basically asks me where I want to use this page. So we can use it for a specific page, like the home page. We can use it for children of specific pages. We can have it for blogs. We can have it for archive pages. And in some ways, that's and the learn live streaming pages. So a lot of the time, this is kind of where we want to come. So you saw earlier, I hadn't actually built out the page for the coffee and content ones yet. So we'll have to revisit that. But I just wanted to let you know that that's a thing that sort of happens there. So for the moment, let's actually go back to the homepage. And again, you can sort of override what these are called. I know this is the homepage, so I called it as such. Just going to come in here and edit this. And as much as I love this call to action and even this countdown thing, which I haven't updated, so, you know, if you imagine that maybe our next show is happening then, it'll actually give you a bit of a timer that'll count down to that time, which is really fun. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up to these three dots and I'm going to save this to the library. And I'll say coffee and content countdown. And basically, once this is in the library, I'll be able to reuse this elsewhere. And I think I probably will want that at the top of the coffee and content category page. So that's all there. That's awesome. I'm going to, I'm actually just going to get rid of all of this. I'm going to delete the row. I'm actually going to come into this section here. And let's just update this. And some of my icons are actually coming up a little bit smaller than usual. It's because I'm using a particular plugin that doesn't play too nicely with Divi at the moment, which is not great, but I can live with it. But essentially, I want to change the column structure. I've got that there. And now I've got two sections. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to come in here and copy this. And it is a little bit fiddly sometimes. So I'm literally just duplicating this here. I'll drag it over here. And we'll call this one. So you can either, you can edit text directly there, but I do find I prefer doing it here. So we'll go video and live streaming show. And again, underneath this, I'm going to click the little plus sign to add a new module. And I'm going to add a particular, I'm not sure how well this will work, but I'm going to give it a go. And again, this is the joy of doing things live. You know, if I fall on my face, it'll be entertaining for you guys, if nothing else. Okay, so what we want to do, I'm going to come in and select some post content. And actually, no, that's not the one I wanted. I'm going to try that again. So what I really want, and in fact, what I can do down here, if I go to these settings, so I want the blog module. That's what I want. Okay, I forgot what that was called, but that's okay. So we can actually search for that in here. We can just type in the word blog and it'll pop up. Okay, and here we can actually insert a particular article. So basically what I want to do is have the most recent coffee and content article just underneath that heading, the most recent video and live streaming show underneath that one. So I can come into my custom post types, and I know they're in Learn Live Streaming with John Lacey. I guess the thing that I might need to be a little bit conscious of is if I can do that. In fact, I probably can't do that here, which is rather annoying. But if I were to do this for the landing page, I could certainly specify that I want these, because all of the content on my website is actually Learn Live Streaming in terms of its content type. But I kind of want to narrow this down a little bit more, and I'm going to have to think about how I do that. So if I go in this case, yeah, I'm literally going to have a think about that, because that wasn't something I thought about too much. I can probably manually come in here and figure this out. Like if I know that you know, one. So I mean if I want one of those, that will show me the most recent one, but I'll need to think about that a little bit, because I really want it to go to the specific ones. So what we might do instead, though, let's just for the moment, because I'll have to have a think about that, because that's not going to be the best way of doing it. But what I can do instead, let's just grab an image. I can grab something that's from here. So in this case, I think the most recent one that's actually on the website is this one here. So the creator mindset. And then I'll have to include a URL to that. And again, I don't know that I even have that handy. Let me go find that URL. So here we go. I'll just copy this one. So I want to copy the link address. We'll go back in here, paste that in. And again, I can probably just duplicate this. Move this over. Obviously, this title is a lot longer than the other one, so I might have to think about that, because I don't love the the way that's aligning, but that's okay. I can revisit that. So let's change the icon out. So we'll go YouTube for streaming. We'll grab that link. This one here. Okay, so let's video and live streaming show. I'm gonna have to think about that. And again, this is the joy of doing these sorts of things live. So probably what I can do though is if I come in here and I'll I guess the other thing we can do is if I come in here, let's go to the design, and it gives us all these great options. So let's equalize the column heights. That'll help a little bit. Let's come in here, and I'll come in and say the sizing. So its minimum height will be, let's say 2M. Let's see if that helps me. I don't know that it will necessarily, but let's just see what that font is. In fact, it's probably a lot bigger than that. Anyway, like you don't really need to watch me do all of these things, but I guess in fact it looks like it's probably, yeah, okay, cool. All right, so maybe something like that. Again, I'd probably want to tweak that a little bit more. I'd probably want to include some text around this as well, because it would be worthwhile to give people context about what they're clicking into. But if I do those sorts of things, I can go in and save that. I could change the alignment. It might, in this context, make sense to make that that centered text. But again, you know, these are all options we can consider later. So essentially, if I close out of here, I save all my changes. We go back to the live version of the site. I can refresh this. And essentially, you know, it's sort of linking us off to those different sections. So I would like to sort of explore a way of doing that more automatically. And because I've set everything up as its own content type, or as its own learn live streaming content type, I might need to rethink about that a little bit. But I mean, the nice thing about this is I mean, you saw how quickly I was able to add a new post. And again, I haven't written a great deal of content here, but it's a placeholder for the moment, and it's a placeholder that once I publish it, if I include this link, like the link to that particular article, when I come in to restream and create the live stream events, that link will automatically go out to all the places I'm streaming to. So I think like it does take a little bit of effort and a little bit of organization to do this well, but I think it's a great opportunity. And then, you know, once I've actually done the show, I can sort of come back here and I can populate this a little bit further. And, you know, we can sort of think about including some more meaningful content, because some people will want to watch, some people will prefer to read, some people might just be coming here to grab the URLs to different things. So, you know, we spoke about Streamlabs and Stream Elements, or the OBS ASIO plugin, which is a favorite of mine. So those things are in there, and I think it's just it's a good opportunity. I'm not going to pretend this is necessarily easy or that it's effortless, but I think it's a really great way of showcasing the things that you do in a meaningful way. And again, like I said, I do have a bit of web design and development background. So, you know, if you're not ready for WordPress, that's absolutely fine. But find something that you can work with. See if there's someone that can help you out and help you get started. Because I think it's a really good place to have your own your home base and work from there. So I hope that's been meaningful. We're sort of at the half-hour point, so I might wrap up here. But thank you so much for joining me today. My name's John Lacey. Of course, we do these sessions this same time every week, so Please look forward to the next one, and I hope you'll join me. And have a great week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.